very, that was our first recognized show. I don't want really, we were very fortunate. It was awesome.
Hopefully stop by.
What's that sign of paper go away?
It's going around.
Okay.
So that's the same sheet?
Just for public.
Oh,
So we got the names for the minutes.
I'm sorry.
So you got the names of the minutes.
Oh, right.
This is the show.
It's awesome. You should come by. The judge we had was from Brazil. He lives in California, but he breeds horses in Brazil. And he goes in California. So he breeds and sells and trains. The guy was awesome. The riders love him. The early downside of the show was somebody really great bed on your patch, knocked it. What a mess. They had a huge trailer, biggest trailer there, biggest horse trailer there.
Down in your
They were running late, they were in a hurry, why cut the corner? They had 50 full clearance ahead of them. I don't know what, the breed was, you know, I told my friends, and they said, well,
Oh, you mean the cabin? Camp. Quiet still. Between you and Bobby? Yeah.
he said,
We're gonna start.
yeah, okay.
At 7 p.m., the meeting is called to order. Roll call. Asha Goldberg. Here. Harry McMenamin.
Here.
Ed Ingles.
Here?
Gus Stratton.
Here.
Terry Gordon. Here. Richard Zappa.
There.
Service present. No alternates, no need for alternates. We scheduled again, Moose Mountain, 603 Lodge at Moose Mountain. Thank you.
Yep.
You want to start?
Yeah, we are just here in hopes to get some clarification on our request for outdoor seating and what the process is currently.
Okay.
If we could take a vote on that, or if we're somewhere further down the line from when the last time we spoke.
Okay, we got to back way up. All right, for the restaurant at Moose Mountain Lodge, site plan review is required, and that hasn't happened. So the town's, the town's procedure hasn't been done.
Okay.
So that's the first thing that has to be done. So we reviewed this, we pulled all our meeting minutes, etc., saw what was done for site plan reviews in the past, and that's what it shows. We went back to 2010, that's when you started.
2009, the site review was done,
Okay.
and it was done as a restaurant, food service, and it was approved as such. We opened, the very first thing we opened was only as a restaurant before the winter started and we did the tubing.
Okay, I remember the restaurant was there, I went there myself.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in town really liked it, and we had, stuff on the menu like chicken palm and stuff just for that restaurant feel, and that's how we opened.
So the site plan review that I found was for snow tubing and special events. That's it.
With the snow tubing was the restaurant, because again, one of our biggest draws was the snowmobiles coming through in the food business. I mean, we had days up there, we did, $4,000 worth of food in a day. That was a real big part of it, and it was always that way from day one.
I recall from day one that we started the restaurant And that was going for a while, that was up there. And then there was some confusion, I think some people in the town, some selectman or somebody said that you were grandfathered, and you went ahead and did that. And then the town was sued because the site plan review was omitted. And that person won.
How that
Caused us to have
yeah.
a site plan review.
How that went down is, I came to the planning board for a site plan review. The planning board voted that I did not need a site plan review. I was grandfathered. Craig Evans sued the town. I ended up suing the town. We got into a long battle, spent a ton of money, town spent a ton of money, I spent a ton of money. And to settle it, before we ended up in Superior Court, I agreed to do a site plan review. And then in 2009, I came in and did the full site review and was approved by the planning board.
That's right. The rest of it was going before you came in for the site plan review.
Now,
And the site plan review states two things. It states snow tubing and it states special events. I looked at it last week.
yeah,
That's what's on it. So a restaurant's allowed, but it requires a site plan review. And that's where we are.
Maybe I just need some clarification on this, but on the bottom of our septic plans, that's, I would assume, to prove through the town, it states on there 48 seats, paper service inside the restaurant.
Right, that's the septic system is a state document, and that's to clarify what the septic system was good for. Bob had that put in with the intention of having enough capacity to do the restaurant. That's not a site plan review, and that's what's missing.
So a site plan review was done in 2009, correct?
Yes,
And what's missing?
site plan review for a restaurant.
They had a restaurant in 2009, correct?
They had a restaurant before the site plan review.
So a restaurant was operating when site plan review was done.
Yes,
So why did we need another site plan review?
because we don't have a site plan review for a restaurant. The thing is, what was done in the past, etc., we looked through all the documents, every one of them, from 2009 up to here. And I was here through that whole thing. I was on the planning board in 2009, right up through 2016. And I was selected for 6 years to 2023. And there was no site plan review done on the restaurant.
what do I gotta do to receive the minutes, all the minutes related to Moose Mountain from late 2008 to 2009?
You'll have to request the documents from the administrative assistant.
Okay. Because again, there's no sense getting in a pissing match, but I totally disagree with that. Totally. I did the site plan review.
I know you did.
Site plan reviews are for specific activities. So it was my understanding that the site plan review that took place in 2009 was coupled with the tubing and special events.
It was food service. Food service, I know food service is going to be in there because why would I spend $70,000 on a brand new kitchen and stuff if I wasn't doing food? There's not a doubt in my mind and it's not in there.
What would the planning board like us to do at this point? Want us to shut down?
We don't want you to shut down. We're not at that point right now. The only thing we're discussing right now is Moose Mountain needs to do a site plan review for the restaurant. That's what we stand.
So we're illegally operating a restaurant right now?
Well, if there's no site plan review done, they won't, if the town requirements aren't met, they will not issue the licenses. That's right in the RSAs. So you can read that.
So they've never issued Moose Mountain Lodge any licenses whatsoever to operate as a restaurant, ever?
I never saw it.
Okay, well,
I think, Bob, you had a liquor license.
I had a liquor license, and I had a food license. I get inspected twice a year on the food guys. We sent the water samples in 4 times a year. We did everything that a restaurant does because we had a food service there. I had the state of New Hampshire food license hanging on the wall, a liquor license hanging on the wall. That's the way it was.
And this was in 2009, you said?
2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, every year.
We also obtain both of those licenses. If that is required for those licenses, then they did not request those from us. And if there is a site plan review, which we do have, I believe it's a site plan review from 2008, which is a yellow piece of paper, if I'm not mistaken, and it states.
That's the approval for the construction.
Yeah.
our experience with the town so far has come down to documents missing. All since we got here, documents missing. We couldn't even get a permit because you didn't account for any of the land around us. We had one abutter that didn't exist. There was no file on that 30-acre lot in this building. And that kept us from going any further with our past permits. All right. The town is losing things conveniently by the sound of it. We bought into this knowing that there was a restaurant active there. We've spent a lot of money getting all the permits and doing things properly, and now we find out that there's a missing site review, or it was never done, when we asked the owner to come here and attest that it was done. And the records are just missing. We've been operating illegally is what you're telling us now, so what you should tell us is to shut down. But if the town is wrong and we shut down, the town is liable for any losses. So I think somebody should be looking a little bit deeper because these documents exist. And if they don't, it should be grandfathered by now. We're spending a pile of money just to continue operating. The state forced us into having outdoor seating during COVID. And now we're just looking for permission to keep that going. It's just beyond me. I just don't get it.
Let me try again. Whenever a site plan review is for a specific activity operation, it's not transferable. If you change the activity or the scope of the work, then a different site plan review is required. So one was done in 2009 or 2010, and our document said it's for tubing and food associated with tubing. We're not special events, I didn't say it, whatever it says. But that's for that event. If you're going to do something different or expand, an additional site
So
plan
every
review.
time we do an allowed use, we have to have a site plan review? It doesn't sound right. We're operating a restaurant. This zoning was created for that. That's my understanding. Okay? We have a long list that disappeared about a month ago, and we got it back now. We have a long list of allowed uses. We're doing an allowed use.
That's right. You're allowed to do it.
Okay, so
So
are
do
we
a site-
allowed to run
so
a restaurant?
Yeah, as soon as you do a site plan review.
So every single thing on that list, we have to have a site plan review. If we do a zip line, we have to have a site plan review for every single event. Do we need a site plan review for weddings?
You have a site plan review for special events.
Okay, how about we call this a special event that's continuous then?
That's not going to happen, Steve.
I would be happy to commit to the time and put in the request for the minutes, and I would be happy to review them, why they'll be real familiar to me. The frustrating piece is, I was telling Dana the other day, I had all that stuff in a drawer just a year ago, and I finally said, well, I don't need this no more. threw it all away. I mean, I had, and I figured this is good, you know, just cleaned it up. But I'm more than happy to take the time to go digging and clarify that that's covered. That's how confident I feel.
That's fine, if you'd like to come and request the documents.
And I'll do that.
Was there a site plan review done for the brewery that's in town?
That is a home-based business.
So how do we make this a home-based business then?
It's in the recreation area, it's not at a home. Just so you know the difference, he is a beverage manufacturer, and he has a tasting room. So people can come in and try a beer, and he sells his beer canned and in kegs. So his license is different from the one you got.
So if I put a still down there, can we do it?
If you get licensed to be a distillery, it's quite possible.
And that's through the state, correct?
That is, but a distillery isn't allowed use like that.
Do you want us to shut the restaurant down? Now, that's the big question right now.
I want you to do a site plan review.
Mr. Chairman, what's involved in a site plan review in terms of time and expense? Or,
It's
you know,
it's laid out.
Site plan review.
It's laid out in our site plan review regulations. It's a lot of documents, you know. I'm not going to get into the details of that tonight.
Well, I would like to know, so when I apply, I know what I'm looking forward to.
You come down and you can go online, or you can come down and request the application for the site plan review.
Can we list everything on this one site plan review that we intend on doing?
Sure you can.
So we can only, well, we only have to do one site plan review for the list of things that we want to do for the next 5 years.
You can list them on there.
I know you're-
Like the one that I saw for the snow tubing and special events. Those are the two things on there, and that's what was reviewed. And I know what you're saying, Bob, but I'm sticking to what I saw too.
Yeah, I'm good, yeah.
I would just like to ask, when did the board come to the decision that we need a site plan review?
Well, when we learned there was a restaurant up there, and we learned about it when you came in asking for extra seating. So we looked into our rules and procedure, we looked into our zoning, and what you're doing requires a site plan review. If you come in last year, this all would have got done. But what seems to have happened is, for whatever reason, you went ahead and started a restaurant, and started a cocktail lounge, and you got all licensed for that by the state, but you never came here. It's the same as if you build a house in town, you have to get your permits first. You don't just go build your house, it's the same principle.
But we did email the town back in February regarding this. So there has been communication with the town since February. And you guys did not bring any of that information up before now? You
No.
brought it up potentially at the last
Who's
month.
you guys? Is that Rick Surratt, the chairman of the planning board? Because I've seen none of this.
I have multiple emails to the planning board that have been left at no response.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
the only email that I have on record that was mentioned in the meeting was one about asking how the 603 Moose Mountain Lodge can get a liquor license. That's the only information I have. It was just about the liquor license.
That was that one, and
That
then
was the
we've
start
been
of
in
it.
touch with other boards in town and administrative assistants since January. I was not told about this. But to also be not told about this is previous meetings that I've attended, where I've been told that, you know, I need to go to the next meeting, and then the next meeting, and then come to this meeting, which you did say that there was a possibility that we might need a site review. But if it was known prior to this meeting, why wasn't I told prior to this meeting to have this started, said if you found out 2 days ago, know that 2 days ago?
I can't answer that. I came on as a planning board chair in April. We've had, this is our third meeting, and finding out what you were doing up there, which I don't care what you do up there. But I looked into zoning and everything, and it was apparent that a site plan review was required. And I wasn't relying on my own experience. I went to counsel, to the town lawyer, and went over all of this, and the same answer came back: site plan review is required. And she's probably got all the documents that you have in your file.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's got them already dug out, that,
So she
Saves
had to
somebody
look
a
through
lot
her
of work,
stuff,
yeah.
and she came back, and that's what the lawyer said: site plan review is required. So that was affirmed last week,
Alright.
and here we are. And I'm giving you the message right now. It is required.
Okay. Would we be able to hold a vote on the outdoor seating tonight? So when we have the site plan review, it's already approved through the planning board, and I can go straight to the selectmen because it is a selectman signed.
No, we can't do that.
So we're at a dead hole right now.
Yes.
We've been for the last 2 months.
So
Is a site plan review required for a private club?
that's not a permitted use.
It is.
Is it on their private club?
Yeah.
Then it would be required.
So if we've had a private club, we also need a site review for that as well?
I've got no site plan reviews in our records for a private club. So yes,
But you have one for tubing.
tubing and special events, all on the same one.
So wedding venue was already okay.
Special event.
Do we need to have another site review for every special event? Or special events are all set?
Special events are all set.
Okay.
So if we have music outside.
If we
Well,
have
can
live
have
entertainment, can
alcohol.
we consider that a special event?
A what?
Live entertainment as a special event?
I can't answer that right now. I do know there was a concert up there one time, and the whole neighborhood was ringing our phones off the hook. With the purpose of the site plan review, you should put outdoor entertainment on that, because what happens once the application is filled out, and it's a lengthy application, and then the planner will visit your site and see how any of your activities, etc., would affect the neighborhood, the environment, etc. That's why we have it, to protect the town from any surprises. It's just a process that's in the zoning, and we have to adhere to it. And whether someone lets you slide in the past, that's none of my business. We're here today and now, and it's not going to happen without a site plan review.
can we get a comment, Rich? You know, when I got approved of my site plan review, you know, there was still some people up in arms in town about it. So they formed a Moose Mountain Recreation Subcommittee. And the subcommittee met for 6 months, maybe close to a year, figuring out approved activities and non-approved activities. You have a printed paper that lists all the approved activities and all the non-approved activities. And with that, they came up with a conditional use form. And they come up with that conditional use form so that if they were going to do something that we didn't come in for site plan review, but it was on a permitted use, that we could come forward with a conditional use permit, real quick, show it to the planning board, and then we could hold that event as a trial, you know? Did we have a traffic problem, did we have a police problem, or whatever? And then if there was no issues, we could continue with that. But they met for like a year to come up with the permitted uses and the conditional application. If everything is just gonna go back to a site plan review, which was there in the first place, why would they have gone through that year's worth of meetings and that conditional use form and all the yays and nays, you know? Because a site plan review, you can go for anything, you know? So it seems like just reverting back to a site plan is you've taken that subcommittee's work of a year and just,
The subcommittee, if I recall, that was just a bunch of friends and neighbors getting together over there.
they held meetings right here, the minutes were taking, I attended. If I didn't attend the meeting, I definitely read the minutes the next day, and I attended several of them. Because if it wasn't heading in that direction, I probably would have said, no, I don't like it. And not that maybe I could have done anything about it, but I want to try. But the approach that they were taking was fine with us. Yeah, we can do all of this. We get this quick application, we give it into the board, we do it, everything goes good, maybe we can do it again. You know, it seemed to make so much sense, but that seemed to all go away. But I mean, it was a board appointed by the planning board having public meetings right here. Moose Mountain Recreational Subcommittee. Minutes, the whole 9 yards. That was in 2010, the year after my site plan.
I'm not recalling that clear, but I remember meetings on all that
I
stuff.
attended enough, just enough of them to keep in the loop, and then I just read the minutes. And again, I was happy with the direction they were going, so I let them go.
Now, a few years ago, we had instances with those conditional uses where Steve and Dana had opportunities to do some things that were on the conditional uses. And every time they wanted to do something, they had to come in here and fill out that whole site plan review and everything like that. And they requested that we streamline it.
Well, that was what that conditional use thing was supposed to do.
Yeah, well, they shouldn't have to be coming in for that, or it shouldn't be such a big deal.
Right.
But to just come in and say
I agree.
what you want to do, or go
Yeah.
to the selectmen and get a permit for a day or a weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
And pay $300 to the town for that permit.
Regardless. But the idea was to streamline it, and I believe the planning board did do that. And all those conventional uses are out of the, it's all permitted uses now.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
So they did some work on that to streamline that for these guys.
super.
I don't think anything was ever streamlined. We never got an okay to do anything.
This was after the snowmobile thing, the year we ran out of snow, the concert that was wanted to set up for that never came. And I don't know if there was another thing, but those were the things that you came in, you had an opportunity to do something, it was short notice. And the site plan review.
We never got any resolve to that at all. We never got an okay or anything. They cashed a check, by the way, but nobody gave us permits to do anything. Nothing was streamlined. We've been sitting dead in the water since.
So, follow what I'm saying. Those instances that came in, that was causing this whole thing to go on. And you were coming in on short notice, and the length of this site plan review to do conditional uses was screwing things up.
Made it prohibitive.
So they wanted to get rid of that. So all those conditional uses were streamlined into the permitted uses. So things
So why are we
like,
here-
things
why are
like
we
that
here
wouldn't
tonight?
happen.
If that was streamlined, why are we even here? This
We're-
doesn't sound streamlined to me.
We're here because there's a restaurant opening in town, and we're requiring a site plan review for that. That requires food licensing, people going up, more traffic on Moose Mountain Road, possible concerts outside, noise, the effects of that, etc. It's a big deal. So we're gonna do it right, and we're gonna have a site plan review, and that's not gonna change.
Can we get something in writing that tells us we're able to continue the restaurant operation for now then?
No,
Why?
because the town requirements haven't been met. The planning board doesn't issue permissions or enforce laws. So if you wanted to do something like that, you'd have to see the selectmen. And
I'm gonna have to look again when I get back home, but on the permitted uses, that restaurant is listed on permitted uses there. It's not supposed to be, from my understanding, everything is permitted, we can do at will. The conditional permit, we did talk about, because there's a lot of times opportunities come up, and we've got a big nut we've been trying to swallow up there, and it's a lot of money we're trying to carry, and we haven't, with COVID and everything else, we haven't made 2 cents on the dollar up there. So, yeah, we need to push it ahead. If we have an opportunity, and it's either conditional or permitted, the permitted uses I'm understanding that we're allowed to do, period. The conditional ones, yes, we need to come in. You need to, we had somebody that could look at it, say, yeah, try it. If it fails, yeah, we'll address it. But I didn't realize it was supposed to be. And then if we go outside of that envelope, yes, we have to come in for a full site review and everything. But these things that are happening now, the restaurant was on a permitted use. So we didn't feel we were out of line here at all. The state reissued permits that were already issued to that property. And the food has been being eaten, the drinking's been going on everywhere because we've been cleaning up the messes, and we're trying to control that and bringing in tighter so we have better control over what's going on there, especially the alcohol use, which has been running wild up there on the hill with no watchful eye over it. At least down there, these girls are doing a heck of a job of managing it, keeping everybody safe, and getting them out of there in a good condition. That's one thing I think we're under, that permitted use under that policy.
Mr. Chairman, I can't hear what he's saying.
it's possible. Terry is looking in there, and there's a possibility of a minor site plan review.
Okay. I do have trouble hearing too, Rich. I haven't been catching most of this, but...
We'll look into that, but
Yeah.
as we stand today, site plan review is required. I'm calling that a change of use, and because I have no evidence of a restaurant site plan review, and I can only go by what I have. That's where it stands. Is that clear tonight?
How long does that take for them to do? And who approves it once it's done?
Site plan review will be managed by the planning board, and the planning board will sign off on it when it's done.
And is there going to be any issues with that? For them to be able to do what they're doing out there?
We have to do the site plan review.
I understand that, but are they going to approve it? What happens if they don't approve it? Like who?
That's why we're doing it.
Okay, so
If it was just a matter of a person saying, well, do the site plan review and we will approve it, that's why bother? The site plan review is the opportunity for the town to have a detailed look at what's going to happen up there. That's why we're doing it.
well, I've been up there a few times and it's a good time. I mean, it's fun. It's quiet. It's not like the other restaurants in Wolfboro, Wakefield. These girls are not overpouring. They're not over-serving. Kids are there. They're playing games with their families. Tubing. You can go with your kids and get something to eat. Like a great activity for this town, that it's finally happening again. I brought my kids up there tubing and everything, and you had to bring your own food. It'd be great. Families go up there too, whatever, get something to eat with their kids. They got games. I mean, as far as, outside concerts and stuff, if it's just a folk band or something, what's wrong with that? That's fun. It's enjoyable to be able to take your family down the road and not have to go up to Conway and not have to go into Portsmouth, to have a night out with your family and friends. So I hope this town is at least going to help this to become something. It needs it. And I'm here to support it.
Thank you.
So I just hope they're doing a great job. And to give them any grief in this last minute stuff here, come on.
Thanks for your input.
You know, the traffic on the road is traffic is everywhere.
There is a procedure set in place in our zoning, and
Seems like it's coming in at the 11th hour though.
well, regardless.
Yeah, regardless,
I'm new on this board, I've been a chairman of this board before, and it's gonna be done by the book, it just has to be done that way.
All right, and I hope that there's
I'm not
no
gonna get
conflict
emotional
from
about it.
anybody
I've
in this
stated
town for
before,
it. I hope they don't,
I said it before, I don't care what goes on up on the mountain, it's just gotta be done right,
all right.
and we're gonna do
I mean,
that.
that's their business. I'm just saying, as far as, I'm glad that it's there. I'm glad that it's open again. I'm glad that I can bring my kids and my grandkids up there and have something in this town to be able to enjoy. I think it's a great thing, and I support it 100%, and I'll continue if need be.
Thanks.
You're
I
welcome.
have a question.
Yes.
Would it be helpful to give them a copy of the procedure for submitting site plan for review and also the submission requirements? Because it outlines everything that needs to be done.
It's all online.
Oh, it's online.
It's online under regulations on the planning board side.
We already have it, but we weren't aware that we had to make it out to run a restaurant. And that should have been clear from day one. And it wasn't.
Well, if you started this process in April, when I came on this board, it would have been clear then, but I can't speak for what happened in the past, Steve. How long did your site plan review take, Bob?
It was pretty quick once we get done with the attorneys. I mean, the RSA's pretty much say they give it to the application, you only have a certain amount of days, notify the abutters, a month and a half tops. You guys hold one meeting a month or two? One, could go 2 months. It all depends on when the application is turned in, if you can get the abutters notice 5 to 10 days prior to the next meeting, If you don't have that 10-day window, obviously, it's gotta go to the following month.
Thanks.
I anticipate a bit of a problem with the abutters list unless the ghost lot has been fixed.
Yes, it has. It has.
Wonderful.
Okay. See you next month.
Thanks.
Thank you for your time.
Public comments? No announcements. Review and approval, possible approval of the minutes, May 13th. Everybody has a copy of that. Did these get sent out, Ed? The minutes? Can I get a motion?
I motion we accept minutes from May 13th.
Second.
As good.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I just have a question, because it says here, Mr. Surratt pointed out that a full-service restaurant is a permitted use.
It is.
It is? Oh, okay. It's just that they don't have the site plan. Okay, just checking.
So that's approved.
Yes.
I'll get a final version of the minutes in the book and to Karen, or to Brady, sorry.
We had a first, we second discussion by Marshall, and the minutes are approved. The next thing was the rules and procedure. We were going to clean these up. We were going to spend 15 minutes on these. And Ed started to do a mock-up copy.
I just sent it around. I sent it back to the agenda email, so everybody should have that online
Okay.
with the edits, red highlights or whatever, and some comments on the book.
Peter, this one is different. It was online today, it's different than what was in the book before.
It's the same one with my comments, and a few edits, like, ex officio should be capitalized everywhere, for example. Minor stuff like that, but there's a few, the main one was getting rid of the stone corners,
Right.
posting.
I went through many of the pages, and I agree with you. Our postings that we're vulnerable, we have to change where we post the records, the meeting notices. But we're not going to change what each person does in that committee.
No, all the other stuff seems,
Yeah, it's like, right here on our meeting minutes, says we're going to post on Granite State News. We don't do that anymore. That's dying paper, if not dead. But we have to be clear where we are going to post, and I think what we learned from our public hearing, we go to the website, we go to the front kiosk, and we go to the townhouse library. And that's where we've been posting our official public hearing notices. Yeah, I believe that's sufficient, but that lets us change. Our agenda is also at the bottom, once we accept the new rules of procedure.
we'll have to change the bottom notes.
Yes, once we change the rules of procedure.
Depends on the RSA too. Some says you just have to notify, it doesn't say how many times or where, and others say it needs to be published in the newspaper.
And I think we give you the warning, but I think we covered it. We have 2 postings and the website.
Yeah.
This is a long document.
There's a lot of appendices in there. I didn't really look at the appendices carefully. Can do more of that. So like the site plan review checklist, for example, is an appendix. And just looking at it, it's not real clear. What makes it major or minor, for example. So little things like that, which in this case might be a big thing.
Well, it is right now, anyway.
Yeah, but I'm sure every one of these documents has something like that that can be clarified.
Is the site plan review checklist, is that available to the public?
Yeah, this stuff's all online, this whole document.
So is this site plan review redundant in the site plan review
The section in there.
section already?
It just defines what it is,
Yeah, it's 11.
when the board deems it necessary. Chair shall request the applicant to allow site visit. That's just that's site visit. Sorry, site plan review is somewhere else. Yeah, that's on page 11.
So all these appendix, they're at the end of our ordinances, correct? Not all of
No.
these? No.
They're part of this rules of procedure.
Most of the appendices are templates of the forms that you're supposed to be using. There's a template for notice of decision. There's a template for the abutters notification. There's a template for what you would send to a newspaper. That's why there's as many appendices as there are, and you basically need them. The idea is, instead of each board recreating and doing things differently, there's a template that you guys follow. And the administrative assistant, when you get one, says, okay, you just did a subdivision, you voted on it, you passed it, you signed the plats. Here's the notice of decision that the chairman signs. You don't have to go and create a whole new document.
Right.
So most of that, I mean, you should be looking at each one to make sure that it covers everything that you need covered. But I wouldn't suggest getting rid of them, because it's just going to create chaos. Again, the whole idea behind rules of procedure is, I say this all the time, the tail does not wag the dog. Just because a new chairman comes in, just because you get new members added, they don't go and start doing things the way they want. They follow the regulations of the town and the RSAs.
Check page 20 of the rules of procedure. It's a list of all the forms that
Right.
Greg is talking about. And you can see, there you go, you got it.
So those state, I was afraid that I was seeing these all someplace else.
No, they're not anyplace else.
Okay.
You have, I think you probably know, there's a comprehensive application, which is the thing that's on your website, that's used for boundary line adjustments, subdivisions, and site plan reviews.
That's the one that has everything you need, and you can.
Right, and then you pick out which one you're doing, and then that tells you, well, here's what you need for that particular thing. And then some people can apply, the applicant can apply for waivers from, actually, when Mr. Bordeaux did his site plan review, they applied for a waiver from having to do a survey of the whole property, because a survey had just been done because Eddie Nason was buying a plot of land out of the Moose Mountain Recreation Area. So rather than do a survey all over again, the board agreed, okay, we'll waive that survey because here's one that was just done. Why do it all over again at great expense? I mean, a survey on 630 acres is a lot of money.
Right.
So there's waivers that the applicant can apply for.
So that's on the comprehensive application.
Yes, I mean, they go through the list and they may say, we don't really need to do this, it's already been done. So they just have to apply for the waiver, present the evidence for the waiver, and then the planning board says, we'll grant the waiver, or we won't grant the waiver. It's just like any kind of a case, you present why this should happen, or shouldn't happen.
Can the planning board waive something without an application for a waiver?
I kind of doubt it. I mean, there'd have to be some rationale for why a waiver.
With regard to this subsequent site plan reviews. There were the two that were done back in 2008, 2009.
2009, 2010.
I'm sorry.
And then there was another one done for disc golf at a later date.
My question is, does every item on those, that may have been covered on those previous site plans, so those need to be repeated in subsequent site plans?
That I don't know.
If they want to do one for a restaurant with open air seating, do they have to repeat the survey of the land and all that stuff? It just seems like a lot of work.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Likely, no, just, it would pertain to the new use.
Okay.
Can I say something? I found minutes from 2009 that says we did not need a site review.
That's what Bob talked about.
Well, I was able to pull them up in the archives.
Yes, and when that happened, the town was sued because the site plan review was required. The planning board waived it, and a resident sued the town, saying that the town planning board cannot waive the site plan review. So that caused the site plan review to happen.
So if the site plan review was done and Bob carried on doing a restaurant, and then since then, there has still been food being sold there, it is still required now that it's coming from us.
I'm maintaining there was not a site plan review for a restaurant. The only one I could find was special events and snow tubing.
That was done after these minutes, which said that they would move forward to doing that in addition to phase one, which was a restaurant in these minutes.
Yeah, phase 2 was a tubing and snowboarding part.
Phase one was the restaurant.
What you're looking at, does that have a site plan review for a restaurant?
It's the meeting
It's the
minutes.
meeting minutes.
It's the meeting minutes, we need the site plan review. When we searched through the documents, we found a site plan review for tubing and special events. We'll look again, but we did not find one for a restaurant. And Bob says he might be able to find it. That will be helpful to you.
Just one more question. Why wasn't that listed in the list of the other documents that had to be turned in last month?
Which documents are they?
The 12 documents that you requested?
Oh, we were trying to get a handle on what you had up there to that point. That's why we requested the documents that you had. How far had you gone? We didn't know. We didn't know what was up there. So we think it's okay to look at the documents that you had, and we asked for them. And like I said, again, my gut was that you needed a site plan review before you said anything about that. I don't want to make it hard for you. We did the research that we could on the documents that we found in the townhouse here, and we checked with the lawyer too to check on her documentation. And it all came back, site plan review is required for the restaurant.
Is there any way to expedite this process from what it would standardly take?
And I haven't read the application yet.
Do we have one in-house?
You get that from the assistant.
It's also on the web, in that regulations document, all the things are there, and a description of what is to be done.
Can we have the name of the attorney that the town uses?
Laura Spector,
Spector, is
Yes.
she in Brookfield?
she's in Laconia.
Thank you.
What happened there, and I wasn't there, planning board said something, no site plan review required. They didn't follow the process. They got sued. I wasn't here then, they got sued. The resolution was, we're gonna follow the process. So you can figure out what's gonna happen this time. If you don't follow the process, anyone in town can sue the planning board for not following the process. So we're gonna follow the process, would be my recommendation.
I said that to you guys many times. That we're gonna get it right, we're gonna follow the process.
Well, we've asked what the process is, and we couldn't really get a straight answer.
Well, you got it now, you got it changed.
Well, we've been kind of
Expedite this for their application for a site plan. Could they reference those, there's a lot of questions on that site plan review. Can they reference items that have been previously addressed in the previous site plans that may not be relevant to the restaurants in particular? Because that would save them a lot of time, I would assume a lot of money, by just addressing those issues that are new because of the new request, for the restaurant.
Sure, look at the site plan review, look at the application. If there's anything that they don't need to do, we won't have them do it. When we get the application back, we'll review it.
But they can refer to the what I'm asking is there's some issues on these site plan reviews that where certain things, like say the survey, the line to the property and all that stuff. It's already referenced in previous.
It's unlikely that that will have to be redone.
It does not have to be redone?
Unlikely.
Okay, that's what it is. Because it would make it a lot easier if they only had to do those things that were necessary for the new use.
Right, so we'll get the application and we'll go through it with you guys. And whatever we don't have to do, we're not going to do.
To Craig's point and my question though, they would have to apply to say, we don't think we need a survey, for example. Is that right?
Yes, they'll fill out the site plan review application and they'll bring it back to the planning board. And we will review it with them present, we'll have input and everything, and we'll know what we're going to require.
And at that point, they can ask for waivers, like,
That's right.
we don't think it makes sense to do this, what does the board think? We've seen plenty of waivers issued in the past for subdivisions, etc., where that doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Okay, so member comments?
Yeah, I've got a comment. Somehow we have to clarify for the public when site plan reviews are required. I mean, it should be very clear that if you're going to be doing something, and it's not just a Moose Mountain, and it's for the town, it's got to be clear that you have to do a site plan review. I think that would be helpful for everyone in town. So I don't know where that's going to go, but I don't want to try to find a place for that right up front,
Going back to my other example, if you're going to build a house in town, are we clear? There's the application.
Yep.
The building application accepted. And if you go ahead and just build a house and don't come in and see us, what happens then? This is the exact same thing.
I understand that. And in the past,
It's all in here.
in the past, when surveyors or lawyers come to the meeting, they've got a lot more experience than some people, and they know that they've got to do all these things.
On the part of the rules and regulations that mention permitted use, maybe some reference could be made there to what permitted use is required of site plan. I don't know, I don't remember if it actually specifies that when they itemize the permitted uses.
Right.
There's a list of definitions. Is permitted use and conditional use defined in the definitions in the zoning?
Currently, it's permitted uses.
We don't have any conditional uses anymore.
Just like it's permitted to build a house in Brookfield, but that doesn't negate any building permits, taxes, et cetera, and everything, inspections. So it's permitted to have a restaurant, but that doesn't negate a site plan review on an endeavor as big as that. We're public health and neighborhood environment. It could be affected. So require a site plan review. If they were going to put in mini golf or something, I think it would be an abbreviated site plan review.
That's what I'm trying to get at. In your definition, permitted use, does it say a site plan review may be required, is required, shall be required for any permitted use?
That's not saying. So someone to come in and say, we're going to do this as a site plan review required. You want to make it easier?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for more easily public information. It's like we had a discussion recently with the CEO at a staff meeting about something in writing that says, if you're doing this, you need a building permit. If you're doing this, you don't need a building permit. Because there's total confusion for some people, maybe not others, but it's not easily understood, particularly for people that are just moving here. There's a couple cases where people have gone on and done major changes to their property with no building permit. That involve changing to electricity, changing to plumbing, changing to the layout of the building, which, from what I understand from the CEO, means you gotta get a permit.
People don't ask.
I think
What
requires to.
happens in the town? It's been so loose around here for so many years.
Right.
But now with more people coming into town, et cetera, and everything, it's incumbent on us to tighten this up.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I think it would be helpful
Zoning.
to have more things in black and white print.
Right in the subdivision, the site plan review regulations, it specifies when a site plan review is required.
Right.
Do people read that? I expect no.
Right. Did Molly think to go look on the planning board website under regulations, under site plan review, and then figure out, oh, I'm supposed to do a site plan review? I mean, are we asking a little too much of the public?
I think I agree with Craig, I think it's very vague. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just was thinking, I thought Rec 1 had different rules. So I thought there was like kind of a different set of criteria for things that were going on there. It was kind of like a bubble.
Permitted uses.
Exactly. So that's why, like, when we're talking about like subdivisions and stuff like that, I feel like that's like a totally different conversation.
It's different zoning, yes.
Right. So that's why I feel like it's hard to think of it as a homeowner in town, like, you know, because it's this recreational use space. So there is this gray space that, you know, I think because it isn't clearly, basically, for you to be, it isn't clearly defined for them, for us to review and for them to, the protocol. So I think that's why it's like, you know, we're trying to do right by the town, you know, we don't want to be sued. but we also don't want to prohibit them from being successful in their endeavors. And, you know, we want to be able to support, obviously, something local. So, but I feel like it's getting this negative feeling across the board, even though we're just trying to do right and they're just trying to do right.
So in our regulations, it says, the purpose of the plan is for a change or use or expansion of the present use. That's one of the requirements for a site plan review. So it's there if we read it. So I mean, it's right there. It's a minor site plan review requirement. Do we read all the documents we have in front of us?
Right. And how do we know what to read? So in terms of just regular folk, like not having any legal background, if you're trying to get a permit, like you're saying, like, how do people know? And so I think that's why we're in this predicament, is my feeling.
There's rules and regulations, there's site plan reviews, permits, etc., stacked a mile high in every town in this state, except this one. So, you know, it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
People come here from other places where this stuff is all required, and suddenly they show up here. It's not, I'm not singling you out, I'm talking mostly about building.
Yeah.
People just whack up houses, put on additions, etc., and everything. Come down with the permits.
Yeah.
So what do? We could take this book and just throw it out and just call it the Wild West and be done with it.
Right.
Or we could try to develop good procedures. I mean, our zoning right now, it seems to be reactive. Somebody comes in and builds a bus station, we say, oh shit, they built a bus station. There's nothing in the zoning, so we run over here and we put in the planning, no more bus stations. It's getting tiresome to chase things left and right. In Moose Mountains situation, they are a rec area, they're zoned rec. And I'm going to talk for a second. And this happened, to give you some history, over 30 years ago, the people that were sitting in our chairs decided that Brookfield is going to develop into a larger community. People are going to come from all four corners, and we need a recreation zone. And they allegedly talked to people in other towns, other selectmen, planning boards, etc. And so they created a rec zone. Nothing in this book. They just created Rec 1, and it sat there for 25 years. And then Bob Bordeaux came and bought them out and wanted to do something. That's the beginning, just a few years ago. So this is a work in progress, but one thing that is in there is site plan review for certain things. More things like a restaurant. If there was a site plan review done for a restaurant, you'd be clear. But we don't have any evidence of that.
So who would have that? I mean, if there was one, who has it?
Right. Where is it? So you go back to a mental timeline of what happened in the past. I mean, it's not documented. So there's hearsay for this or hearsay for that. We can't rely on that. So if there's no site plan review produced, or if it wasn't done, it's not done. So in this case, we have to get it done.
I have a question. If let's say they do the restaurant site plan review, if they want to add music, does that require a separate site plan review for the music? Or let's say they want to start a comedy club, do they have to do a separate, because it's a different use, even though it's entertainment?
If they do a restaurant site plan review and don't put music on it, and they get the restaurant site plan review, then yes, there'll be another one required.
And for a common.
But if they go and
something
put
different.
everything they're gonna do on the site plan review, everything will be reviewed at once.
Okay.
Permitted uses don't require site plan review, is that correct?
No.
In the we gotta study the subdivision, the site plan review regs. It really is.
Let me just, I'm still a little confused on all this, but let me just throw this out there, and I don't know really where I stand on it, but sort of in the spirit of cooperation, where I think the last meeting, we left it that we wanted to, help you guys out and get things done the right way. And because food service that's activity driven is a permitted use, could we somehow come to an agreement that says, as fast as we can possibly get a site plan from you guys, you have to come up with an activity to stay open?
Well, we currently still do disc golf. We do disc golf 7 days a week. We have people there until 8 o'clock playing when the sun goes down.
So I'm not sure if that allows them a little leeway here. Or not.
I think we'd have to look at the site plan reviews for disc golf to see what it says, right? Does it say food associated with disc golf? I don't know.
Right. But just because it's a permitted use, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, take a look.
Disc golf, food service, activity driven are both permitted uses.
It says types of development requiring site plan review.
Yeah.
And that's in our site plan review regs, and it's specified right there, change of use.
Yeah.
But it says early, it doesn't apply to single family houses, right? So if you're gonna do something home, it's off the table.
It's a home-based business.
But it does apply to Rec 1, recreational areas.
If it's a change of use, it would.
Yeah.
It says right there, change, it's clear.
Well, change of use would apply to houses, but you can't change the use of the house because it's residential agriculture zone only.
No site plan approval shall be required for one-family dwelling units, agriculture as defined in RSA census. So that you don't need a site plan review for that. And you continue reading and it says, it's required. Change of use or expansion.
Well, there is the minor site plan review, but it says the site plan will have minimum traffic impact on the surrounding road network.
Well, that's when they fill their application, they should say that. They should say, we think we need, if they think they need a minor one, a minor. It's not for us to call that, right? They look at it and say, I think it's either a major or minor. It's not a subdivision.
I think you may have answered the question, but it wasn't clear. If they did a site plan review and then took the list of can-do things, the approved activities, and attached it to that site plan review, can this board approve all of those uses under one site plan review?
Yes.
And that would be one flat fee.
I can't answer that.
I wouldn't recommend doing that. But that means everything on that list, the board can put restrictions on.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. What did you say?
Oh, I wouldn't make that super list. Because we're gonna, to satisfy that super list, you've got to go through these regs for every one of those activities. And that's gonna be quite burdensome. I mean, I would stay focused on what you want to do within a certain scope, but that's for you to do. I mean, that's your call. Take a look at site plan review regs. I wouldn't make it a super list. Unless you're going to define everything you're going to do and how you're going to do it on that list.
I think what Rich is saying is everything that you put on is going to require more analysis, if you want, by the planning board, asking you to say, okay, what hours will that operate? How many people are you expecting? If it's going to be more than what your toilet facility requires, how many portable Johnnies are you going to need? So if you say, oh, we're gonna list 20 things, just so we're covered for the next 5 years, it means the process for reviewing each of one of those is gonna take more time. If you say, we want a restaurant, we want a bar and restaurant, we want a restaurant with outdoor seating to accommodate 42 people, whatever. We want music, and then you have to be real specific about the hours. Is the music going to be piped outside? Is it going to be live music? Hours of operation? And then the planning board looks at all that and says, okay, no, you can't go to midnight. You know, there's people living across the street, next door. You know, you can go till 9:30, 8:30, whatever. Lights, traffic control. That's the whole idea. That's where, when Rick talks about the planning board protecting the community, it's where the community tries to interface with your new operation, and so everybody is happy. So down the road, you don't have people being crazy because, you know, you're playing music till midnight. So I agree with Rich. I wouldn't go listing everything that's on there, thinking, well, we may do this 5 years down the road. We'd like to do this, but we're not sure, because it's gonna glob up the works in getting things done that you're very clear about right now.
Right.
So if you listed, for example, archery, where are the people going to park for archery? Are you going to have people with archery at the same time the restaurant is open? How many people will be doing the archery, and how does that overlay with the other activities that you say you're going to have?
Who supervises the archery?
Right.
You don't want us to go there. I don't think you want to go there.
I wasn't planning on it.
You gotta watch out for this scoffers.
A lot of the other activities would easily qualify for a abbreviated site plan review too, so instead of putting, what they were saying is instead of making a super list of everything, figure to get it covered in one swipe, just concentrate on the prize and get what you want now and don't worry about the rest of it.
Okay. If we were to have a site plan review, I know they were discussing something about like an expedited process or form of some sort for the conditional uses. You guys said that those conditional uses are now considered permitted uses as of when Bob was doing it, or Dana brought it to your attention?
Right now in the zoning, there are permitted uses.
And no conditional?
The conditional is gone.
The conditional is still
Conditional
online
uses
as
were
far
kind of
as...
one-shot deals.
Yeah,
There were some bizarre things in there, and there were some interesting things.
so those were just recently changed
They
from
changed,
conditional?
they changed it, the planning board before this session changed some of that.
March 12th,
March 12th was voted in.
right?
It's not changed on mine. Our conditional uses are still up. Just so you guys are aware.
I think some of them made it over to the permitted uses and the rest of them got,
That's,
There was also a short period of time
That's
after the
correct.
first selectmen's meeting that our zoning was completely taken off the town website.
and also,
the last page, the appendix with the uses. That was off. It was edited through what was voted on in March, and then now it's back up.
There's still conditional uses.
They must have put the wrong one up.
Oh, it's not good.
You see it?
The appendix is correct. I think there's still a reference to conditional uses. And we asked the lawyer.
Yes, you mentioned that. Are you talking about the text?
So,
There's some verbiage in there that still references conditional uses, which needs to be removed.
I believe it's the website itself that still has the list. As of, maybe 2 weeks ago, I was looking at it. When I was trying to get all of that information to you for everything that you had asked for. When I was working on that, I reviewed the website, which still had our conditional uses on there, which I do have a printed out copy of from after March.
That must be the old one.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Underneath food service activity driven, it does say full service restaurant.
That's right.
And I don't see anywhere on there where live music is.
Well, they're gonna put it on there on site plan review.
And then it'll be added.
Be added to the, conditionally, be added to the site plan review document. You can, just because it's conditional use, regular use, doesn't negate the requirement for a site plan review. So if you guys think you want to do something that we don't even think of, it's something creative, bring it to the board, say, we'd like to do the following thing, what do you think? You're still going to need, if it's something new, you're still going to need the site plan review. But what Craig went through outlines what takes place. Where's the parking? Where are the toilets? How many people are you going to serve? Where's the music going to be?
Well, with our master plan, we're only allowed a limited amount of people for already special events and everything like that in the plan for the construction, for the septic, for the town-approved, whatever. It already states how many people we're allowed to have. We already have a permit for how many people are allowed inside the building. I already got a permit drawn up for the assembly for outside. All of those numbers and questions have already been answered. And
bear in mind that those are all drawn to your septic plan, whereas your permit for 40-something people in your septic plan.
no,
And then for special events, etc., one-shot deals, if the number gets high, but not for permanent operation.
right, no, you're right. That does say that in the plan. But what I was stating is we've already had our permit of assemblies drawn out for the building and the areas itself. So our numbers will never succeed what our permit of assembly allows us to have. Because we can't have more than that amount of people in or around the building anyways due to other codes. So a lot of that's already answered and a lot of that has already been operational. I know you're saying the restaurant may be a change of use or something like that, but there has been food there prior. While I was just doing maintenance, while I was getting this operation completely set up, I had to take down the old menus off the wall and take down the snack shack sign and all of that. It was there. It's been in use. The kitchen equipment has been updated. The kitchen has been, the fire extinguishers in the kitchen have been updated. Everything like that has been maintained. And I promise I'm not trying to be difficult or a question, but I do just want to make it clear that it wasn't really brought to our attention or my attention that this was something that was needed. I've been in touch, time and time again. I've come to meeting after meeting after meeting. I've been in touch with the town through email and through phone call. I even called Rich when I was trying to get my liquor license. If a restaurant wasn't permitted use for Moose Mountain, then the question of me applying or even questioning getting a liquor license should never have been, okay, yeah, go ahead, because it wasn't, a restaurant isn't a permitted use. And if a restaurant isn't a permitted use, you can't have a liquor license because you can't have people drinking and not eating food. So at this point, I know I kind of got lost in the buzz when everyone else was in here, but you said that you don't want us to currently shut down the full service restaurant while we don't have this in place, because I will get you the application tomorrow morning. I'll have it in the mail, I promise. But if you don't want us to stop operation, and it's going to continue, we're still having the other issues with outside activity
The
that's
planning board can't
not
stop
us.
anybody from doing anything. We are not a enforcement agency, okay? So I don't want to talk about that.
Okay, all right.
Just bear in mind the site plan review, et cetera. We don't even want to go through that either, you know, it's kind of a pain in the ass. But if you only had evidence of a site plan review being done for a restaurant, you'd be in the clear. But we can't find it. We looked hard. We looked hard here in our files, and we had the lawyer look in her file. It's not there. That's what, you know, Bob goes back and forth, and he swears it is, and I haven't seen it. And no one else in this room has seen it. So that's where we stand, we're requiring a site plan review.
Just for general curiosity and clarification, if we were to go ahead and say, all right, we're having outdoor seating this weekend, what would the repercussions be for that? If we just went ahead and continued, and the planning board, you know, hasn't approved it yet, which I want to get approved and making that clear, and we were just going to go ahead and have outdoor music and seating and everything like that, what would the repercussion be?
I don't know. I'm not an enforcement agency.
The selectmen would have to make that decision. And what options would they have? They could write a letter saying stop. They could write a letter to the liquor commission saying they're in violation, they'll pull your license.
Right.
There's a whole host of things that the selectmen can decide to do at their meeting.
Okay. And then another question of mine is, if it is a letter, well, I guess I know the answer because it's a change of use. But if the letter that I need signed is from the selectmen, why is it I need that approved from the planning board first? The site plan review, I get. We can get the site plan review out of question. But after that, when I'm going for my outdoor seating, it's this letter that I'm asking from the selectmen. Why does that have to be brought to the planning board?
Because had you had a site plan review for a restaurant in 2009,
I'm saying after this.
Let me finish. If you had a restaurant license already, I mean, a site plan review was done on a restaurant, and then you decided you wanted to have outdoor seating, you'd have to come to the planning board, because it's a change of use. And we would likely look at your request, and we'd be able to say it's allowed or not allowed. And then you could go back to the selectmen and get a letter. That's how that worked. But at this point in time right now, I see no site plan review for a restaurant up there. And I have a timeline in my head, and I believe there's reasons why that happened, but it's irrelevant to what we're trying to do today.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a story. So we need the evidence to move forward. It hurts.
I'm just upset about the timeline, the amount of time I've lost without being told in the beginning that I needed a site plan review. Because if I was told when I submitted my liquor license, and we got our liquor license in hand, and the liquor commission had sent over to you guys that we were putting it in place, and you guys had your 15-day window to rebuttal our liquor license, you would have said, wait, you can't have a restaurant and bar. They can't do that. So you would have squashed it right then and there with the liquor commission because we didn't have a...
We never got that letter.
It comes from the state.
We never got that letter from the state. The selectmen never got that letter. That would have been a trigger to find out what was going on. What triggered us was when you said, I want a letter going outside to serve liquor. That's what started this whole process, because we said, the board said, we're not going to sign that letter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what started it, when you said, I'm going outside with liquor. And we said, whoa, you got to go to the planning board.
And then we had to go to the lawyer. We didn't have the site plan review.
That's where we are.
Sorry to be a pain. I'll be sticking through though.
It's no worry. It's just got to be done right.
Understood.
Any more? Good.
It's not speaking to this event, Speaking to future events, there is a procedure that the planning board has where you come in for a consult. Not speaking to this event, but that should be clearly written on the website, that if you intend to do anything, come to the website and get a consultation first. And that way it's on the agenda, there's minutes, and it's very clear what was said and what was said. Because that's what a lot of the other planning boards do, that's what OSSP does. They also have that consult, and they very accurately go through, yes, this, and actually hand the documents to the individual, and say, this is what you have to do. So there's no, I wasn't told, I didn't get it, you didn't tell me, there's none of that. It has to be clearly on there in the consultation, and I think you already have it on the board to do that. So I would
You want to move that to the front page too, with all the stuff they're putting on stuff on all the time?
It should be on the website so the public knows that they can come in immediately and get what they need.
If you read the rules and procedures, you see that that is available. If someone wants to come in and do something, they can come before the planning board and say, hey, this is my bright idea, this is what I want to do. And they get a feel for which way it would go, and they get advised as to what they need to do to make that happen. And then they go forward and get that permit and move on the project. So everyone has that chance to come in and talk before anything is done.
Correct, but that didn't happen. Now, speaking about this event, by looking at all this video that I'm looking at all the time, that really wasn't completely clear. So just I'm saying next time I would do it more clearly, where on the website immediately it says right on there that you come in for a consult, that's it.
Were you doing this in 2009?
Where we want,
Were you
I wasn't in
TV
town.
running in 2009?
not in 2009. It starts 2011. That's a lot of video.
But that's small.
But we do have in the rules that you can come in, but I don't think it's clear to the public that they can come in.
And there's no charge.
And it's also done in every other town on the planet.
It's not one.
It's also done in every other town on the planet. You come before the planning board.
Correct, that way if
You
you
get a preliminary.
and that way if you know as a planning board way ahead of time that you're gonna have somebody come in and ask these questions, you have time as a board to go to the attorney and get a very clear answer, so when they come in to consult, you can give them all that information. So, I'm always thinking of, lawsuits and, I think one of the items that could happen is if they don't follow the rules, then one of the residents can sue, which then the taxpayer has to pay for it. So they're also trying to make sure they don't get sued, so it's clear to do that. Thank you.
That's it. Meeting adjourned.
8:32.
8:32. Meeting adjourned.
Rick, we're gonna make Thursday hours if you want. I can see something else.
That's, I'll be okay. Thanks.
Oh. 8:30.